Hi everyone, I'm Gertie and welcome to my Lamour dress online class. I released this class 2 years ago on my Charm School site. It was meant to be a paid $75, 4-hour long, 21 lesson long online course. There's a lot going on in the world right now. A lot of people are quarantining, isolating, staying home and sewing. I want to support you all and hope that you're doing creative things with your time. So as my gift to you, this class is now available to you on YouTube completely free of charge, the entire thing. I'll be releasing it in a series of lessons, so please check them all out. If you want to support me in return, please do subscribe to my channel, like this video. You can also subscribe on Patreon, where we are doing monthly exclusive content and videos. So just to get you up to date on the Lamour dress pattern, a lot has changed since I released these videos. We now have expanded sizing. So we're sizes 2 through 20, that is up to a 53-inch bust. Please measure yourself if you're not sure what size you are. And also we have separate A through H cup sizes in all of our charm patterns. So please check it out. We've also added new design options, including these cute gathered shoulder straps and this little sarong skirt. So I have a free YouTube video showing you how to make the sarong skirt as well. So please check that out. And I hope you all stay healthy, stay safe, stay home and sew, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.
Hi everyone, I'm Gretchen Hirsch. You may know me as Gertie. I'm very excited that today we're going to be making my brand new Lamour dress pattern, which you see on the mannequin here. This is part of my new Charm Patterns line, my very first line of independent patterns, so I'm really excited about this one. This comes from a Hawaiian design from the 50s, a Kamehameha dress that I own that was really beautiful, and I named the design after Dorothy Lamour because she starred in all those films that had a very tropical flair to them. So just a few features of the dress. The first thing you'll probably notice is the halter strap. And the thing I love about it is that it's convertible. So you can wear it like a normal halter strap like I'm wearing and the two mannequins are wearing now. But there are two other ways to wear it. The first is that you can crisscross it in the front, which definitely gives it more of a sarong look, which I really love. And then the third way is that you can tie it around the back and tie it at your lower back for a strapless look. And I've also spent a lot of time kind of playing around tying it in bows and stuff. So let me know if you discover more ways to wear this, because I'm sure there are more than 3. Okay, so you've got the halter strap, and then this is a very structured bodice. And the reason I wanted to make a course for this dress specifically is because it has all of the skills that I really love in sewing. So it has an underlined bodice, and then it has spiral steel boning throughout to really give it that shape and structure. You'll notice that there is a center front seam, and then a pleat, which is a nice bust detail, a sweetheart neckline, and then this strap is gathered and inserted into a little hidden diagonal seam here. So that's what gives it the correct angle to be worn at all those different versions. Has princess seams here. This is a 3/4 circle skirt, so a nice full skirt. It does have pockets in the pattern. This was an early version that I made, so it doesn't have the pockets, but I know how much you all love pockets, so I added them. And then the back, you'll see, I pinned this one on the dress form, but let me just kind of get this out of the way for you here. There's a lapped zipper, which is my favorite zipper insertion method because it has a really nice vintage look to it. And it's very nice and clean and very strong for this kind of structured bodice. And then we're also going to learn how to do a really beautiful narrow hem. So that's what you see on this dress here. And then on the form over here, I have an in-process bodice. And so I just want to show you a few of the things that you're going to be learning, because this is some of the really exciting, nerdy sewing stuff that I love so much. And I hope you will come to love too. So you can see this is a fully lined bodice. And then the outer bodice is underlined in muslin, which is what gives it a lot of shape, a lot of body, and that great 50s style silhouette. And then the boning is inserted into channels in the lining. So this is actual boning channeling sewn in here with spiral steel boning inserted. So those things I'm going to show you step by step how to do all of these skills, and I hope that it's really going to carry you through a lifetime of really loving this high-end sewing. So let's get started. Okay, welcome back. In this chapter, we're going to be talking about the supplies and tools that you need to make the Lamour dress. So first of all, don't forget your pattern, of course. I'm still in the proof stage of this. The patterns are at the printer, so I have this very new version, but you should have a beautiful packaged version or your PDF version of the pattern, your instruction sheet. And then everything that I'm mentioning here is going to be in addition to your regular sewing supplies. So you're going to make sure that you have your pin cushion, pins. We're going to be doing some hand sewing later, so you want to have some good hand sewing needles. And then obviously your favorite fabric shears and paper cutting shears. Marking supplies, I like to use some either wax or chalk paper in conjunction with a tracing wheel. So make sure you have all of those things. Anything that you normally like to have on hand in your regular sewing kit, make sure you have that. And so what I'm going to be mentioning from here on is the specialized tools and supplies that you're going to need specifically for the Lamour dress. Let's talk a little bit about fabric. Okay, so I first intended this dress to be made in cottons and like nice Hawaiian print poplin. So today I'm going to be making it in an embroidered cotton. This is kind of like a Swiss dot with little embroidered polka dots on it. I love this color and texture. So cottons are a great choice for this dress. You want something that has a little bit of sturdiness to it. You kind of want to find that sweet spot between anything that's too soft, like a voile might be too sheer, too soft, and anything that's too sturdy. So for instance, if you had like a really heavy sateen, it might not look great in the gathered straps. So just think about sort of like a light to medium weight cotton. And then you're also going to need a lining fabric. So when I use cottons, I also like to line in cotton. So this is a batiste. A voile would also be a nice choice. A cotton lawn. Something that is sturdy enough to stand up to the spiral steel boning, but that feels lightweight and good against the body. We're also going to be underlining the bodice of this dress because that's what gives it that great structure. So my favorite underlining, especially for cotton, is just regular old muslin, or calico as some people call it. So I use a medium weight, it's very firm, and it really gives the bodice that structure that makes it look so great. So those are some choices for fabrics. This dress also looks beautiful in silks, so like a dupioni, a shantung. You can also make it in sheers, and there are instructions on the instruction sheet for how you would do that. So it's going to change your choices a little bit because you wouldn't want to use muslin, for instance, on the underlining because you're going to be able to see it through the sheer outer layer. So there are some different choices that you might want to make, but for your first dress, I would recommend just choosing a really cute, fun cotton lining, and then a muslin underlining, because that's really the simplest way to go, and then you can get fancy with your choices later on. The next thing you're going to want is thread to match your fabric choice. And I always use polyester all-purpose thread. That's the best choice for garment construction. And then let's talk about spiral steel boning. So this can be kind of challenging to find, especially if you don't live in an urban area, but it's very easy to order online, and I do have resources for that in the course materials. So I would really recommend that you use the spiral steel if you can. I know that it might be easier to find the plastic or Regeline, and those can be fine, but I think once you've used the spiral steel, you'll find that it's just so much better. It wears so much better, it's more comfortable, and it gives you much better structure and shape to the bodice. The great thing about it, and here's a long piece of spiral steel, is that it moves in all directions. It moves this way, and then it also moves back and forth, but it actually retains its shape. I don't know if you've ever worn a dress with plastic boning that creases, and then you can never actually get it back to its original shape. The spiral steel will never do that. It always retains its original shape. So I would really recommend working with it. It will elevate your dress to that sort of couture level that we're going for. Okay, so you're going to need about 3 yards of this, and I've recommended that you just buy a length of spiral steel boning in a continuous length. You can, down the line, buy it so that it's cut to measure once you know the exact size of the pieces that you're going to need. I recommend buying it in a length like this at first because you might be doing some fitting changes that change the length of the boning channels. So you can cut this to the exact custom length that you need. The other thing that I've done in the past is just buy an 18-inch long piece and you can buy these by the dozen or the gross. And then you can cut this into 2 pieces so that you have the length that you need. And then one end is finished already, and then you don't have to finish the other end. So that's a little trick that I like. You're going to need a tool for cutting the spiral steel boning. This is major construction we're doing here, so you're going to need some pretty powerful tools for this one. This is just a metal cutter that I bought in a hardware store, and I use the very ends of it to kind of nip into the spiral steel boning, and we'll be going over how to do that later. You'll also want some pliers if you're going to be using the purchased metal boning tips. Speaking of which, these are metal boning tips. They're not my favorite, and I'm going to show you a different method for finishing the ends, but a lot of people like these, and these are specifically made to cover up the raw ends of the spiral steel boning after you cut them. My favorite way to cover up those ends is to use something that you can find at a hardware store, which is plumbing tape. Okay, so this is a Teflon tape, and it's great for cutting to short lengths and then wrapping the ends. It's very easy to use. I find these tips a little bit tricky to use, so I'm going to show you how to use Teflon tape. It's also very locally accessible anywhere you live. I got this at Home Depot. The other thing you're going to need for boning the lining on this bodice is channeling. Okay, this is channeling that's made specifically for spiral steel boning. And you'll see it's a very tightly woven cotton, and it has a tube down the center of it. So you actually insert the boning into that tube. This is 1/2 inch wide. The boning that we're using is 1/4 inch wide. Okay, next, fusible stay tape. All this is that it's a fusible interfacing that's cut to 1.25 inches wide. So you can buy it like this, and I have this in the resources, or you can just get some fusible interfacing. I like the woven or the knit tricot interfacing, and you can cut it to strips that are 1.25 inches wide. This is used for stabilizing the zipper opening on the skirt. So you don't need that much of it, just enough to cover about 14 inches actually is all you really need. So a little bit of that, and then a zipper for the dress. We're going to be doing a lapped zipper, so make sure that you purchase an all-purpose or regular zipper, not an invisible zipper. And it should be 18 inches. If you can't find 18 inches, it's sort of an unusual length. You can certainly buy longer than that and cut it down. So 18 inches or longer, regular zipper. The next thing is optional. You can put a waist stay into this dress, which is a ribbon at the waist on the inside of the dress that holds it in place so that you're not tugging up on it all day and night when you're wearing it. So you'll want a natural fiber, grosgrain, or Petersham ribbon. Cotton or rayon are the best choices. It should feel kind of sturdy, and it has these little scallops along the edge. So you'll need about 1 yard of that, or whatever your waist measurement is, plus a few inches. And then to finish off the ends of that, you'll want hooks and eyes. So you can sew on individual hooks and eyes, or my favorite little trick is to buy hook and eye tape that you can then just cut to length, and then this can be sewn onto the ribbon by machine. So that makes it a lot quicker and easier. I hate sewing on hooks and eyes, so I do anything to avoid it. So that's why I've chosen the hook and eye tape. Okay, so that's a rundown of all the supplies that you're going to need. This is all on the back of your pattern envelope if you missed anything, and don't forget to check out the resources in the course materials. Let's talk about how you're going to pick the size that you're going to make for the Lamour dress. Okay, so first I want to discuss how this dress is meant to fit. It's meant to be very fitted throughout the bodice and to really give you that hourglass, very fitted 50s silhouette. So throughout the bodice, I've designed this pattern to have 0 to 1 inches of ease in the bust and the waist. One tip I would give you is if you're not really sure how you like this type of dress to fit, if you have something similar in your closet, maybe you have a vintage halter dress or something that you bought somewhere recently, you can measure it flat and see what the finished measurements are on that dress, which will give you a better sense of how you like things to fit. I was really surprised to find when I measured a vintage dress of mine that I love the fit of, it actually has negative ease, so it's slightly smaller than my body measurements. And I do tend to wear shapewear with this dress. I wear a Merry Widow, which gives a cinching effect, and then I tend to be a little squishier, so I can squish into a dress. You might not like that sensation or that fit. So it's really a personal thing, and I would say base this on a dress that you like the way it fits. But overall, I designed it to have very minimal ease because that will give you that really beautiful hourglass fitted silhouette. So the next thing to consider is the skirt. You do not need to worry about the hip measurement at all with this dress. I do have it included on the size chart just as a reference for you, but this is such a full skirt that your hip measurement doesn't matter. There's so much ease down here that I don't even want you to worry about your hip measurement. You're going to think about your bust measurement and your waist measurement first of all. So when you're measuring yourself, make sure, and you can have someone do this. I find that it's really, really hard to measure yourself accurately. You want to make sure that this is level around the fullest part of the bust. Okay, so right across the breasts, around the fullest part. And then you want to check yourself. If you're doing it yourself, you're going to make sure that it's flat in the back, that it's completely on a horizontal plane from front to back. And get that measurement. Another measurement that might come in handy later on when you're choosing a size is the upper bust measurement. So that's going to be above the breasts, around underneath the armpit, okay? The next measurement that's very important is your waist. Now, I found when I'm teaching that a lot of people aren't really sure where their natural waist is. This should be the smallest part of your waist. It's probably higher than you think it is. So when you bend side to side like a little teapot, it's going to be the part that bends in right there, that forms a crease. So a lot of people think it's a lot lower or they prefer to wear it lower. That's a choice that you can make, but this dress is designed to be worn at the natural waist, which is fairly high. So you're going to get that measurement and you want to hold this fairly tight, okay? Because again, it's meant to be a very fitted dress. So those are the measurements that you're going to need: upper bust, full bust, and your waist. Let's talk about the two different charts you're going to be referencing. The first one is on the pattern envelope itself, on the back. This is the size chart. These measurements refer to your body measurements. So the measurements that I just took on the form, that's what you're going to be comparing to this size chart. So you can see that there are separate measurements for B, C, D, and double D bra cup sizes, waist, and then hips. So again, not important. The hip measurement, so just disregard that, but you definitely want to be looking at the bust size and then the waist, and then you've got sizes 2 through 16 here. So compare your body measurements to the size chart. The next size chart you're going to be looking at is on the instruction sheet. So inside the pattern envelope, you're going to find on the first page the finished measurement chart. This is the measurement of the garment after it's made. So if you measured the dress flat after it was sewn, this is what you would get. Okay, so this is helpful in determining which size you're going to make because you know how much ease is included. So based on the fit that you prefer, this finished measurement chart will help you pick a size. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, please let me know. I know it can be really confusing to decide which size to make, but hopefully these two charts will give you a good sense of how to go forward.